Hello, this is for ISOL 633 at the University of the Cumberlands. This is for Chapter 2 of the textbook, Legal Issues in Information Security. This chapter is on privacy overview. So privacy is an area of growing importance for people and organizations. This growth roughly corresponds with the growth of the Internet. The Internet has made it possible for people to share all types of information very quickly. Organizations collect and use information to conduct business. Governments collect and use information to provide their own security. Individuals share information to get goods and services. People also share information to network while looking for jobs or to catch up with old friends. With this increased collection of information, some questions about proper information use. This chapter provides an overview of privacy issues. Privacy is a very large field. It's impossible to discuss all of the unique and interesting issues in the field of privacy. For the most part, this chapter limits to the areas where information technology and privacy meet. This chapter also addresses general privacy concepts. So the learning objective of this chapter is to examine the concepts of privacy and its legal protections. Some of the topics we will look at is why privacy is an issue, what privacy is, how privacy is different from information security, what sources of privacy law are, what threats to privacy there are in the information age, what workplace privacy is, and what general principles for privacy protection exist in information systems. So the key concepts as to why is privacy an issue, how is privacy different from information security, look at privacy laws, threats to privacy in the information age, principles of privacy protection in information systems. So the basic privacy principles will explain the difference between information security and privacy, describe the threats to privacy, explain the important issues regarding workplace privacy, and describe the general principles of privacy protection in information systems. So what is privacy? Privacy is a simple term that describes a number of different but related concepts. At its core, privacy means that a person has control of his or her personal data. Control means that a person can specify the collection, use, and sharing of their data. People also can describe whether they will provide personal data to third parties. Most traditional views on privacy include the belief that the government's power to interfere in the privacy of its citizens is limited. This means that people and their information must be free from unreasonable government intrusion. The government must not investigate a person or their personal information without a good reason. Courts spend a lot of time defining what governments are allowed to investigate, when governments are allowed to investigate their citizens. This is a core privacy concept for most Americans. The types of information a person considers private are usually very personal. What is private information for one person may not be as private for others. Information that most people generally consider private include the following: Social Security and other identification numbers. This includes driver's license and passport numbers. Financial information. This includes bank and credit card account numbers. This also includes investment and retirement account information. Most people also consider the amount of money in their accounts private information. Health information. This includes diagnoses and prescription drug information. Most people consider information regarding mental illness to be highly sensitive and private. Biometric data. This type of data includes fingerprints, DNA analysis, iris scanning. It's data about a person's physical or behavioral traits Security professionals and security equipment use biometric data to identify a particular person. Biometric data is special because it's unique to an individual and can't easily be changed. Criminal history data, this includes criminal charges, the outcome of a criminal case, and any punishment that a person may have received. Other information may include any other information that may embarrass a person if released to the public. So why is privacy an issue? The rise in internet use also has the potential to change how people live. According to U.S. Census Bureau data in 2011, nearly 27% of U.S. households reported they had internet access. You can expect that number to grow. Internet and related technologies such as email rapidly are becoming indispensable tools. People use the internet for almost everything. It's a tool for learning and entertainment. You can search the internet for almost any type of information. This increased access to information has some complications. Anyone in the world can view information published on the internet. Enemies of the government can view government information posted online. People can copy and use articles posted to the internet without the author's permission. Blogs and pictures on personal web pages for family and friends to view are sometimes available to anyone, anywhere. Malinformation on the internet is also a concern. Larger and more complex information systems allow business and governments to collect more and more individual data. Collection of large amounts of data has led to the concept of big data. Big data refers to large and complex data collections. Sophisticated applications review and analyze collected data, perhaps from many sources. Owners of these systems can accumulate large amounts of data about people. They can use the data for their own purposes. They can create highly detailed individual profiles by combining their data with that of other systems. They can also sell the data they collect to third parties. Privacy issues are challenged by big data collection because the collections contain information from many different sources. People leave electronic footprints in many places on the internet. Internet service providers, or ISPs, maintain logs that track performance information. Websites track the actions of visitors to the site. Organizations may track and record the internet and email activities of employees. Service providers of all types back up their logs and data for disaster recovery purposes. These backups contain personal information. Many people don't know that their activities are recorded, stored, and monitored in so many different ways. Security and privacy. So how is privacy different from information security? Information security and privacy are closely related. However, they're not the same. Privacy is defined here as an individual's right to control the use and disclosure of his or her own personal information. This means individuals have the opportunity to assess a situation and determine how their data is used. Information security is the process used to keep data private. Security is a process, privacy is a result. Just because information is secure doesn't mean it's private. Information security is about protecting data to ensure confidentiality, access, and integrity. Privacy with respect to information systems means that people have control over and can make choices about how their information will be used. Security is used to carry out these choices. Privacy can't exist in information systems without security. So search and privacy. It's easy to discover personal information on the internet about other people, but people can copy and use articles posted to the internet without an author's permission. Blogs and pictures on personal web pages for family and friends to view are sometimes available to anyone, and anywhere. So elements, information security, and privacy. So elements of information security are access control, authentication, authorization, confidentiality, data integrity, and non-repudiation. For privacy, the guidelines include the collection of limitation principle. Individuals must know about and consent to the collection of their data. Data quality principle. Any data collected must be correct. Purpose specification principle. Purpose for data collection should be stated to individuals before their data is collected. Use limitation principle. Data should be used only for the purpose stated when it is collected. Security safeguards principle. Collected data must be protected from unauthorized access. Openness principle. People can contact the entity collecting their data. People can discover where their personal data is collected and stored. Individual participation principle. People must know if data about them has been collected. People also must have access to their collected information. And the accountability principles. The entity collecting data must be held accountable for following the privacy principles. So sources of privacy law. Most people consider the right to privacy to be a fundamental human right. A number of different sources define the scope of this right to privacy. Those include constitutional law. The United States Constitution is the source of legal authority for the U.S. government. It states the relationship between the federal government and the states. It also provides some authority for certain individual rights retained by all U.S. citizens. Constitutional rights are basic individual rights recognized in the U.S. Constitution. Federal laws. Federal laws are the laws that a country's federal government creates. No comprehensive data security law exists in the United States. Like the laws that regulate information security, U.S. federal laws that address information privacy are also industry-based. These laws put limits on the use of personal information based on the nature of the underlying data. Congress has enacted laws to protect various types of data. Descriptions of these laws Next is state laws. State constitutions are the documents that form the individual state governments. State constitutions apply to the people who live in a particular state. State constitutions are the highest form of law for state governments. 10 state constitutions recognize a right to privacy. They include Alaska, Arizona, California, Florida, Hawaii, Illinois, Louisiana, Montana, South Carolina, and Washington. These state constitutions provide clear privacy guarantees. Montana state constitution reads, "The right to individual privacy is essential to the well-being of a free society and shall not be infringed without the showing of a compelling state interest." And then common laws. The U.S. Supreme Court didn't specifically recognize a constitutional right to privacy until 1965. However, U.S. common law recognized certain privacy torts as early as 1902. A tort is some sort of wrong act or harm that hurts a person. In a tort case, the injury party may sue the wrongdoer for damages. Tort law governs disputes between individuals. Common law is a body of law developed because of legal tradition and court cases. U.S. common law is a body of law and legal principles inherited from England. Common law changes very slowly and develops as judges decide court cases. 4 privacy torts still exist today. Most states give either common law or statutory regulation to these torts. Statutory recognition means that state has included the tort in the written laws of the state. The 4 privacy torts are intrusion into seclusion, portrayal in a false light, appropriation of likeness or identity, and public disclosure of private facts. The federal privacy laws include the Census Confidentiality Act, Freedom of Information Act in 1966, the Wiretap Act, Mail Privacy Statute from 1971, Privacy Act, Cable Communications Policy Act in 1984, Electronic Communications Privacy Act, U.S. Patriot Act in 2001, Driver's Privacy Protection Act in 1994, and the E-Government Act in 2002. Again, as we noted, 10 state constitutions recognize a right to privacy as part of the state privacy laws. The state of New York was the first state to write a right of privacy into its statutes, and other states have recognized a right of privacy through case law. The threats to personal data privacy, technology-based. So privacy issues exist before technology became an issue. It seems, however, that privacy issues became more urgent due to advances in technology. People often have very little control over how their data is collected, used, and shared in an electronic manner. They're concerned about how their data will be used later. The rise of electronic communications makes people wonder how private their lives truly are. This section discusses some of today's privacy concerns. So the technology-based concerns are caused by advances in technology. These concerns arise because of the types of data that can be collected with various technologies. First one is spyware, keystroke loggers, and adware. Spyware is a technology that secretly gathers information about a person or system. Keystroke logger is a device or program that records keystrokes made on a keyboard or mouse. Spyware and keystroke loggers are designed to gather information secretly. Cookies, web beacons, and clickstreams. Cookies is a small string of text that a website stores on a user's computer. Cookies contain text that can't execute like a program file. Cookies aren't considered spyware because they're not executable. A cookie by itself isn't dangerous or a privacy threat. However, other individuals and companies can use cookies in ways that invade your privacy. These two kinds of cookies are first-party cookies, exchanged between a user's browser and a website the user is visiting, and third-party cookies, set by one website but readable by another site. Third-party cookies are set when the website a user visits has content on it that is hosted by another server. Web beacon is a small, invisible electronic file that's placed on the web page or in an email message. It counts users who visit a web page. The web beacon also can tell if a user opens an email message and took some action with it. It also can monitor user behavior. A web beacon also is called a web bug. A clear graphics interchange format, or GIF, is a type of image formatted that is often used as a web beacon. This is because clear GIFs are invisible and very small. A clickstream is a data trail that an internet user leaves while browsing. Movements are recorded as a user moves through a website. Users click on links to request information from the website. A clickstream is essentially a set of digital footprints that track an internet user's steps. RFID, or radio frequency identification, is a technology that uses radio waves to transmit data to a receiver. RFID technology is wireless. It's a way to identify unique items using radio waves. Main purpose of RFID technology is to allow tagged items to be identified and tracked. Sometimes you can hear devices that use this technology called RFD tag or RFID chip. GPS, or Global Positioning System, uses satellites above the Earth to compute the location of a GPS receiver. GPS receivers use a number of different satellites to calculate time and location. GPS receivers can be incorporated into a number of devices, are used in automobile navigation units. Runners use GPS receivers built into heart rate monitors to help measure the distance that they have run. GPS units are built into many cell phones to help locate cell phone users in an emergency. Cell phone applications also use GPS technology to track other users and family members. Security breaches. The Privacy Right Clearinghouse maintains a list of U.S. security breaches that involve records that contain personal information. The Clearinghouse began to collect data in January 2005. As of November 2013, the site reported 617,058,124 records have been involved in security breaches. Security breach is a compromise of any security system that results in the loss of personal identifiable information. After a breach, unauthorized individuals' protection can access data in the system. Any organization can experience a security breach. Security breaches can be due to direct external attacks, poor internal safeguards, or both. Breaches can occur within a computer systems. It can also occur when physical security systems such as perimeter gate or fence are compromised. The threats to personal data that are people-based. So people-based concerns are caused by people's actions. These concerns are raised when people compromise others' privacy. They also are caused when people take actions that compromise their own data privacy. Examples of these include phishing, which is a form of an internet fraud in which attackers attempt to steal valuable information. Phishing attacks usually take place by email. Phishers usually try to steal confidential information such as usernames and passwords or financial account information. Phishing scams are a privacy concern. However, people can protect themselves from phishing scams. You should not respond to unsolicited emails that request personal information. Phishing scams are also a concern if an employee in an organization that stores lots of personal information falls for the scam. If an employee responds to a scam with email and password information, the organization can experience a large data breach. That breach can involve customers' personal information. Social engineering, shoulder surfing, and dumpster diving. Social engineering attacks rely on human interaction and involve tricking people to gain sensitive information. Shoulder surfing occurs when an attacker looks over the shoulder of another person to discover sensitive information. In each type of attack, attackers are trying to get data they don't have permission to have. Often attackers are trying to get personal identifiable information. Dumpster diving is another threat to data privacy. Dumpster diving is sifting through trash to discover personal information. It's an issue because individuals and organizations dispose of personal information in unsecure ways. Thieves steal personal identifiable information to commit identity theft. Shredding documents before placing them in the trash is a safe disposal method. Social network sites. Personal data privacy is not compromised just by actions of third parties. People can harm their own privacy by participating in online social networks. They have the potential to expose a lot of personal information. Social networking sites or website applications allow users to post information about themselves. These sites promote interaction between people. And then other data gathering. The internet has made it much easier to learn people's personal details about people. People can search the internet for data on their neighbors, co-workers, family members, prospective dates, and public figures. Almost every person has some sort of digital presence. Social network sites, personal web pages, media web pages, and government public records databases can easily be viewed for personal information. Where there are legitimate users for viewing online personal data, it also can be used to harass and threaten victims. So workplace privacy and monitoring. Workplace privacy is a term that describes privacy issues in the workplace. Privacy can be implemented in a number of ways in the workplace. Hiring, firing, performance reviews all have potential privacy concerns. How employers interact with employees in these matters can have privacy implications. As a rule, most U.S. employees have little expectation of privacy in their workplaces. Very few states have enacted laws that have workplace privacy issues. Some states may have laws related to general issues such as telephone wiretapping. Not all states have considered the impact of these laws in the workplace. So telephone and voicemail. Some organizations monitor employee telephone conversations as part of routine activities. One reason to do this is to make sure the employees are providing good customer service. Employees have few protections from this type of monitoring. Video surveillance. Employers may want to use video surveillance to monitor their employees. They can use it to protect against workplace theft. Video surveillance also can be used to protect workplace safety and monitoring productivity. Workplace video surveillance as monitoring generally is allowed if employees are given notice. Employers must have a legitimate business reason for the surveillance. Employers must not use video surveillance to monitor workplace. Employees have a reasonable expectation for privacy. Areas considered private include restrooms, employee lounges, or private offices. Employers must be careful when using hidden video surveillance. Computer use. Employers may monitor employee computer and internet use for a number of reasons. In addition to those already mentioned, employers may monitor it to discourage inappropriate online contact at work. This could include online shopping during work hours or viewing adult-only websites. Employees generally don't have any reasonable expectation of privacy in their use of employer-provided resources. An employer generally is allowed to monitor an employee's use of work-provided computers and internet access. This monitoring includes reviewing files and software on the computer. Also includes tracking internet use and web pages that an employer visits. And then email monitoring. Email monitoring is very similar to telephone conversation monitoring. The federal wiretap laws in place for monitoring telephone conversations also apply to intercepting email conversations. Like telephone conversations, real-time email monitoring may be permitted in some instances. Employer may intercept employee email using equipment furnished by the provider of electronic communication services. An employer must have a legitimate business purpose for intercepting email. So the general principles for privacy protection in information systems. Designing information systems in ways that protect data privacy is very important. Customers will be loyal to organizations that protect privacy. Organizations must understand how their customers feel about data privacy. Even though people are sharing more information than ever before, some feel that their privacy is under attack. Organizations must keep in mind that people want to control their personal data. Organizations must clearly state the type of data that they need to collect. They also must determine how they are going to collect data from their customers. Active data collection practices should be used. These data collection practices are obvious to the customers. Customers are aware of active data collection practices. Organizations should avoid passive data collection methods. Passive data collection happens secretly. An organization collects data in a passive manner by using devices such as cookies and web beacons. Customers may not know that data collection is occurring with these collection methods. So in summary, we looked at why privacy is an issue, how is privacy different from information security. We looked at some privacy laws, threats to privacy in information age, and principles of privacy protection in information systems. So privacy is a right that people no longer can take for granted. People want to have control over their personal information. They want to be able to choose how third parties collect, use, and store their information. Growth in electronic communication, data transfer has changed how individuals view privacy and how organizations must protect it. Organizations must use information security principles to make sure they protect a person's individual privacy choices. Thank you.